Hi, friends. Hello, hello. My name is Alina Shaltsova. I'm a New York immigration attorney, and tonight we're going to have our live. We're going to talk, as always we do, about most recent interesting immigration news. We're going to discuss very disturbing announcement by media that Trump administration is planning to cancel work permits for asylum seekers. We're going to talk, of course, about arrest of school kids, or at least one kid, and we're going to talk about changes in SIJ, Special Immigrant Juvenile Program. So thank you very much for joining, as always. Don't forget that in the end, we will be answering and discussing issues. I'll be answering your questions and we'll be discussing issues that are of interest to you. So please join, like, and share the stream and type up your questions. Immigration questions related to the United States. I'm here to answer them live for you. Say hello, let me know where you're watching from. Don't forget to send me your hearts if you're watching me on TikTok. Don't forget to send me your likes if you're watching me on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, type up those questions in the comments. This is your chance to ask a question for free. And we are going to start. So today I woke up, read immigration news. As always, I do that. And what did I find? I found that this announcement, the Trump administration, Trump officials are crafting rule to prevent asylum seekers from getting work permits. Well, currently, asylum seekers get work permits because that's what the law says. The law says that if your application for asylum is pending for more than 180 days in the United States, you are allowed to receive a work permit. And of course, once you have that, you can get social security number. By the way, social security number in the United States is being issued once and for the entirety of your life in the United States. So if long time ago you received the social security number, you filed for something, but let's say that filing didn't work out eventually, that social security number is still your social security number. Many people are confused and they get themselves into this sort of messy situation when they try to file for a second social security number, and then it becomes a pure mess. So just know that social security number is one and till the rest of your life. It's given to you, assigned to you once. So I believe that this particular announcement may be based in truth. Why? Because we know that Trump administration is going heavily after asylum seekers. Asylum is one of the most popular reliefs from removal that people are filing for in the United States. Most people who arrived through the southern border were filed for asylum and received work permits. During Biden administration, work permits were issued. The first work permits for asylum seekers were issued very fast, literally within the first 30 days. After filing, right, within 30 days of filing. They are continue to be issued as we speak. But the difference is currently you will not receive automatically your social security number anymore when you apply for that work permit. And now, what the government wants to do, I guess, to discourage people from filing for asylum is to take that benefit away, or at least to pause it. According to this article, Trump officials are trying to pause the issuance of work permits to asylum seekers, those that go through affirmative asylum and those who filed for asylum in courts. And if that happens, of course, I can imagine that it will be extremely difficult for asylum seekers to support themselves, taking into consideration that asylum in the United States may be pending for 10 plus years just to the point when you're called for the interview. Imagine you will not be able to legally work during this time, right? So that's number one. But there is something else is going on that you need to know about. There is this bill that Trump calls big, beautiful bill that is being discussed currently by the Senate as well. That bill, as a part of that bill, there will be a very high fee to pay by asylum seekers when they file for asylum. If I'm not mistaken, it's $1,000 fee. So for most people who come from very economically unstable countries, that fee would be unimaginable to pay. Taken into consideration that if this plan is going to go through, that there will be no work permit for asylum seekers, people, even if they find this money, they borrow this money from somebody like it, they will not be able to, they will know that they will not be able to legally work and pay this money back. I think we're going to see, if all these plans come true, steep decline in asylum applications. And I think that's exactly what Trump administration is aiming for, right? For now, though, if you are an asylum seeker, you can file for work permit and you will receive it. For now, it's only the plans, but if you are thinking about filing for asylum, please submit for it. Please know that this potential change may be coming. Again, it may be just the plans. Several times before, we saw it, for example, with a travel ban. Certain interesting plans were announced by the news outlets, but they did not come true or haven't come true yet. So this may be one of those plans, but it seems that this time this plan is legit. And you just need to keep in mind that it may be your reality, unfortunately. If you have not filed for that work permit, especially if it's the first time, you're the first time applicant for the work permit under C8 category asylum pending, hurry up and do so. If your time to file it came, right? And if you received your work permit, rush to receive your social security number as soon as you can. I've heard that appointments in New York with the Social Security Administration are being scheduled 30 days in advance. It means you will have to wait for another month prior to be able to apply for the Social Security number, and I do not know how long it's going to take to actually receive it. And only at that point you will be able to work legally in the United States. So this is a very important change we discussed right now. Let's move on to the new topic. ICE arrest of a high school student sends shockwaves through Massachusetts town. So you may have heard that ICE accidentally, well, it wasn't an accident, but they arrested a high school student. And what happened is that ICE was looking for the student's father, but they encountered the boy, and upon checkups, they found that the boy didn't have status and he was arrested. You have to understand something. ICE was afraid to arrest him. Unfortunately, that's just the law in the United States. In the United States, they can really arrest a baby who is not undocumented. And trust me, we've seen that in courts, that kids as little as 1 year old have to be presented before the judge in removal proceedings. Okay? So that's just the law in the United States. Some countries do not deport kids under 18. That's the law. They have to assign them to a special housing unit. They have to assign them to a special immigration unit in their countries. But that's not the United States. In the United States, there was a unit that dealt with unaccompanied minors, but it doesn't mean that unaccompanied minor would be free from potential removal or deportation. And in this case, the boy is not unaccompanied. He does have parents. So hence we see that undocumented, very young kid is going to be deported, right? So remember that if you don't have status in the United States, you may be subject to arrest. What happened next, what's going to happen next, is determined by your manner of entry to the United States and how much time you spent in the United States, and if you have any criminal charges against you, because you either will be able to get out on bond from the immigration detention, or you will be subject to mandatory detention. All right, so that's what's happening, and it's very upsetting, and of course it's very concerning, especially for our young school kids who I know are afraid now to go to school for fear of being arrested when they don't have status. But that's the news, and that's the situation that we are dealing with in the United States currently. Finally, I wanted to discuss with you something else, something very important. This concerns people who are filing for special immigrant juvenile status. The government is trying to take away automatic deferred action. What is deferred action? Deferred action is a protection that you're provided when you granted certain status in the United States, usually status related to some sort of humanitarian relief, and you being a victim of something, a victim of abuse, a victim of a crime. Deferred action protects you from removal or deportation and usually allows you to file for work permits. So Trump administration is trying to change that for SIJ, special immigrant juvenile beneficiaries. They're trying to do it that it's no longer going to be automatic, the deferred action. You have to watch out for that. You have to know about this, especially if you are SIJ, applicant. Okay, this is very important for you to know. All right, and now, guys, if you would like to, we're going to move on to your questions. All right, let's see what's happening. Hi guys on TikTok, how are you all doing? Thank you for joining. Please don't forget to like and share the stream. Let's see what questions you've got. Hi, Midura Kali from New Jersey. Hi, Dakich. Hi, Shark. TikTok people have the nicest names, I have to say, nicknames. Thank you guys for your gifts very much. Hi, Sebastian. Do you think USCIS will start processing new DACA applications soon? I don't think so, honestly. The way it's going, the United States Supreme Court so far has not been too friendly towards immigrants, and I'm afraid that we're not going to see that change. What we may see is some sort of a law for DACA people, but I'm telling you right now, it's just too many negative changes, negative in terms of immigration, of course, okay? So let's see what's happening. What is a petty offense exemption for citizenship? Oh, that's when the crime that you were accused of, convicted of, is small enough and does not present problem for a good moral character. You can Google the definition of it, but that's what it is, petty offense. Can a U visa applicant with derivatives married? Can a U visa applicant with derivatives get married? To get married and derivatives are going to get status? Give me a little bit more information as to what you would like to know. Hi, Enox, thank you very much for your gift. Right. Let's see. And guys, if you would like to have a consultation with me, if you're watching me on TikTok, send me messages, or better go to my website so that I will be able to book you for those appointments. Hi, Alexander. Okay. If your husband has an immigration appointment and you are to be present, can your employer request, where did it go? I guess, if you, can you, all right. I think TikTok has like a limit of the on the words that you can type up at the same time, and that's what's happening. We're losing. Can your employer request proof? Well, if you would like to, I guess it depends on the employer's policies, right? So what happens here is that employer has to give you a day off, for example, when you are a juror, right? But when you tell the employer that you need to take a personal day off and they would like to know the reason, I guess it's between you and your employer. I cannot imagine that they would not let you join that interview. But here's what you can do. You can redact your spouse's sensitive information, like a number, for example. Okay, uh, that's what you can do, and that's, can they request proof? I think they can. Yes, why not, right? Because if they are counting on you to be there and you tell them, listen, I need to be somewhere else today, I would think, and you don't have personal day off to take, or if there's not enough notice for it, it's just employer's will or whether or not to allow you to not be present at your job. So to avoid the conflict, I would just redact the document and talk to them about this. Maybe, as privately as possible with HR, so not many people are involved, right? If you don't want to tell the whole world about your business, right? Hi, my name is Sam. My friend is from Cameroon. He's on work permit. It's about to expire. All right, so let's see if your friend can maybe renew their work permit. By the way, guys, we still have a rule that if you're filing to renew your work permit prior to the expiration of the current work permit, your existing work permit in many categories, not in all categories, but in many categories, is going to be extended automatically. So knowing that, uh, always file your work permit prior to the expiration of the existing one. All right, and try to do it in advance. Don't like wait till last day. Why? Because if something goes wrong and your application is kicked back for incorrect filing fee, for missing signature, and you miss that cutoff time to submit prior to the expiration of your existing work permit, you'll be out of work permit for like a year plus sometimes, because sometimes it takes a very long time for that renewal to come in. Okay. If you have I-130 approved on May 12th, when you will receive your green card? Hi, Midorak. I'm not sure when. I-130 may be approved and I-45 may be taking a very long time sometimes, okay, for a variety of reasons. So you will need to wait for the I-45 approval, and after that, usually within 2 weeks, you're going to get your green card. Make sure that you update your address with USCIS and it's not being sent to the wrong place, okay? If you can please go back to special juvenile visa again. Hi, Khalifa. Well, I just shared the announcement, and it will be, this presentation will be recorded on my YouTube. It's relevant for those special immigrant juveniles who are counting on deferred actions and work permits. The situation may change if you haven't received your work permit, or if you have received your work permit and deferred action, you may have to reapply for it in the future, or it may be not plainly available anymore, depending on what rule Trump administration is actually going to implement, because currently they're changing the rules. They're trying to change the rules about how to request a deferred action and what's going to happen with it. They submitted like a 60-day notice. To change any rule, USCIS has to submit a 60-day notice of the change, and then they solicit public comments. Sometimes they take them into consideration. I doubt they will this time. I'm just giving you heads up, okay? This particular announcement was shared with us by American Immigration Lawyers Association. That's a great organization that helps immigration lawyers basically to stay on top of very ever-changing immigration regulations, laws, and court practices. and they gave us heads up that that's what's happening. All right. Thank you, Mr. Patel. Now let's discuss questions presented on YouTube. Hi, Evgeny. Is misdemeanor class 1 subject to deportation in Arizona state false logbooks considered a misdemeanor class 1? Hi, Evgeny. So what's happening with criminal charges and convictions is that it's not enough to know whether a misdemeanor or a felony is at issue. We need to know whether it, for example, a crime of moral turpitude, how long time ago you received your green card, because if we talk about deportation, removability is for people who were admitted in some sort of a status, right? You have a green card, or you just have a status. What was the punishment if you were actually convicted, and what may be the potential punishment under the statute? So what you need to do is you need to have these charges, and if you were convicted, certificate of disposition, and show them to the immigration lawyer. Immigration lawyer is going to ask you questions and will determine whether or not you need to worry about potential removability or accusations of lack of good moral character or other issues that may arise from the fact that you received those charges. Okay? That's what it is. Mr. Patel, if you already filed for the initial work permit on pending asylum, will it be processed in time? Well, currently it should be processed. Okay. Currently, work permits based on asylum are being processed very fast. Somebody in USCIS is on your side, guys, because we received those permits like in a matter of like 2-3 weeks, literally. I cannot complain. Okay. But what's going to happen if this rule is passed, I really unfortunately cannot tell you. Okay. Hi, Ahmed. Is there any way to check my VAWA case states except my online account, and how I connect Vermont Service Center to change from my lawyer address to my address after he withdrew from my VAWA pending case? All right, Ahmed. USCIS has guidelines on how to update safe mailing address. Usually it would require you to submit an authorized statement that you would like your safe, you have to use the word safe, mailing address to be updated to whatever address that you're going to give them, all right? And you will have to mail it to Vermont Service Center, all right? Hi, eQuickLink Pro. Can we still file for the T visa? Absolutely. You have to, if you're qualified, please file for the T visa. Don't miss this opportunity. It's very important. T visa can really be a lifesaver for those of you who are going through removal proceedings, for those of you who already have removal orders. Why? Because when T visa is granted, the removal order that was issued by the judge is automatically canceled. It's very important to understand that. So we just actually encountered a case where a person qualified for the T visa, but nobody told her. In 20 years living in the United States, nobody alerted her that she qualified for it. And when we screened her for it and we realized she qualifies, we reached out to, there is a special unit in New York State, special division that deals with human trafficking, and they certified the case right away, which was amazing. And now we're really hopeful that her case will be approved in no time. And, she's finally going to get status after literally 20-something years. And it's just sad, so very sad that she had lawyers who charged her money, worked on her case, and really didn't do anything in terms of really screening her as to what she really qualifies for, right? So T visa is a thing. It still is available, and absolutely, if you are qualified for it, you should have filed right away. T visa can be an excellent tool to correct injustices for those of you who became victims of severe labor trafficking. Labor trafficking, for example, may take place when You're forced to work under horrible conditions, long hours. You're not being paid minimum wage if you calculate the amount of money they give you and the hours you work. And on top of that, they're threatening you, saying that we're going to deport you if you don't do what we say. We like, don't complain. We're going to send you back, or we're going to send you to ICE. And they force you, they pressure you to accept these terrible conditions, and you have to like basically, for no compensation, almost do this job. And or perhaps sometimes, guys, I can talk for hours about this TV situations, but listen, if you've ever been exposed to this terrible, unjust situations, please make sure that you consult with an attorney and see if you qualify for the TVs. I'm talking about severe labor violations, when you are not paid minimum wage, when you don't have days off, when you have to report to work when you're sick, when they don't help you if you sustained an injury at work, and so on and so forth. And on top of that, tell you that they're going to send you back to wherever you came from if you're going to file complaints against them and things like that. This is not how the United States works. This is actually a crime to do that to people. This is violation of labor laws, and you may receive status when it happens. Okay? I have articles on my website, shaltsova.com, about qualifications for T visa. So if you suspect that you may qualify for it, reach out, and we'll see if you have a case. Okay. All right. Hi, Kelvin. Have you had any joint motion to reopen this year? And also, I have an I-130 pending, and also U visa pending. I have a final deportation order from a long time ago. Kelvin, this year the government stated that they will not be joining any motions, apart from one situation. Really, it's for those who traveled on advanced parole, have TPS, and now are able to adjust through immediate relative status. But apart from that category of people, I do not know anyone else who was able to receive positive discretion on request to join a motion to reopen. It doesn't mean that you cannot file one. You can file a motion to reopen without the government joining. Okay? Hello, Bolly Holy. My asylum case pending in immigration court. I get married to a US citizen. What can I do? Apply 130 or just focus on asylum? I'm worried with current government policy. Listen, if you qualify for adjustment of status, if your I-130 is approved, why would you give up that opportunity? It's great that you have another form of relief from deportation. If that's the case, of course, go for it. Okay. Hi, Kate. Filing taxes as head of household while married will lead to denial of citizenship? I'm not really sure. Why did you file taxes this way? What's going on? Generally speaking, they would like you to file taxes jointly, right? Married filing jointly. Head of household? I've never seen denials based on head of household. I've seen denials when you file as a single or married filing separately. Head of household, I haven't, I'll be honest. Okay? So if they say something, what you will need to do, you will need to amend the taxes. But I'm not familiar with tax rules. Why one would file as a head of household opposed to married filing jointly? If there are certain circumstances when this particular status is chosen over married filing jointly because you guys don't live together, then yes, you may face consequences. If it's something else on the tax law, then no. So consult with your CPA first, and then I guess speak with an immigration attorney. Okay. Hi, was found 1,000 too much, but to pay to a lawyer 5,000 for a bunch of lies to stay in the United States is okay. Well, you see, lawyers who actually know what they're doing charge for asylum cases much more than $5,000. You just need to know that. They charge $15,000, $20,000. Usually they provide payment plans, but attorneys charge a lot of money for defense in immigration courts. $1,000 for a person who just arrived in the United States and filing for humanitarian relief is going to be prohibitive under International Convention for asylees and refugees' rights. So yes, it will be too much. It is prohibitive, and attorneys' fees, that's a totally different thing. You don't have to hire an attorney, but you will have to pay the fee, and that's a big difference. Okay, you may get away without a lawyer sometimes. You will just have to invest your own time into study asylum law, into representing yourself, into learning how to submit documents, and that's very hard. I know people who received removal orders simply because the judges would not accept the way those people tried to submit documents to immigration court. But that's optional to have a lawyer or not. But $1,000 fee is not going to be optional if it passes. That's the big difference. Okay? So it isn't fair. All right? It isn't fair. An 18-year-old is not a boy, he's a young man. He's a boy. There's tons of studies showing that young people under 23 years old still do not have their brain function developed fully. So they still think and act like children. For that particular purpose, I guess, under United States immigration laws, a person is considered to be a child for immigration purposes until they reach the age of 21. Okay? 21. So 18 is a kid, and I can't even imagine how he was terrified and his parents were terrified. Hi, John. TPS will end on August 3rd for Cameroon. Any advice for other options? Well, if TPS will in fact end, you will need to, in order to remain in the United States legally, see if you may qualify for asylum or adjustment of status on an immediate as immediate relative, or EB1 employment. Why? Because it gives you immediate opportunity to file for a green card. But with employment-based green cards, it's harder sometimes to qualify for adjustment of status because there is something called 245C maybe in your way, depending on your previous immigration history prior to receiving TPS. So consult with an attorney, see if there is any opportunity for you to qualify for asylum, right? And perhaps something else like a U visa or a T visa. But I'm going to tell you the truth. Not everybody will be able to qualify for status to remain in the United States legally after this TPS designations will come to end, right? All right. Let's see. Hi, John. Is speeding ticket deportable for a green card after trip abroad? Speeding tickets usually do not have any effect on your potential removability. All right. Hi, Elvis. I-360 approved last month. I-45 transferred to National Benefit Center. Any idea for the timeline? Well, sometimes it takes up to 2 years for the government to finally resolve that I-485. Yes, it may take a very long time. Hi, Fazal, have been granted asylum. Can I travel within the United States without any issues? Yes, you absolutely. You should be able to travel in the United States without any issues, and you should be able to get that real ID. All right? You should be fine. You are welcome, Evgeny. Thank you, Mr. Patel. Good morning, Mr. Singh. Where are you watching from? If it's morning for you, let me know. All right. Hi, Abdul. Good day. Is there a work permit even if you have a pending asylum case? Currently, there are work permits for those whose asylum cases are pending, absolutely. All right. Let's see. Hi, Bibi Nelly. I believe you're doing great. My cousin had attended a master hearing at court. The next hearing was scheduled next year. What do you think? Any other step she can before next hearing at the court? Well, I guess it depends on what happened to your cousin, what status they had, if any, how they entered the United States, and if the cousin has any prospects of fixing status, filing for asylum or removing conditions on their denied I-751. So, an immigration attorney will be able to consult your cousin and see if they have any prospects of relief from removal, right? At least your cousin was not arrested, which is a very good thing. I actually wanted to speak about something today, guys. We receive news that people are being arrested more and more often uh, at ICE check ins. This is relevant for those of you who had prior orders of removal and have something pending, like an appeal with the Board of Immigration Appeals. So I started taking into custody people who previously they were not taken into custody. And when you file that motion with the Board of Immigration Appeals, if it's a motion to reopen, you always have to ask for motion to stay the removal as well, because that's not automatic. All right. Sometimes when you file something with Board of Immigration Appeals, you will not be removed automatically because the filing stops the final order of removal to become final, and sometimes it doesn't. If we're talking about motions to reopen, for example, so certain motions to reopen. So just keep that in mind. And if you have a nice appointment, or I send you text message saying you have to come in for the interview on your case, please prepare for it and take an attorney with you. Yes, a lawyer may not stop ICE from arresting you, but they will know what happened. They will talk to them usually, and ICE is going to give some insights as to what's happening in your case. And most importantly, they will be able to contact your family right away. Otherwise, sometimes people do not know what happened. The person disappears and they search for them for a couple of days prior to the person's name is being finally listed in that detainee locator. So have an attorney if possible, and just know that the likelihood of being arrested right now at those ICE check-ins is very, very high, unfortunately. All right. Now let's see people from TikTok. What do we have? All right. Approved asylum case. Am I allowed to travel to Florida from California? You'll be fine. You shouldn't be having any issues. Once you have this approval, you have status in the United States, and the government cannot do anything against you unless they will take that status away. And hopefully they won't, right? Hopefully you will file for the green card, you're going to get the green card, and you'll be absolutely fine, right? All right. Let's see. My wife and I applied. We have been married for more than 2 years. What green card would I get? Well, if your case is approved, right, provided that you can convince the government that you have a real marriage and you are not inadmissible and your case is approved, you should get a 10-year green card. Do you think the work permit will stop for asylum seekers? Honestly, it doesn't make any sense to stop the work permit for asylum seekers. What are all those people going to be doing here? They will engage in unlawful employment, and it's actually going to reflect poorly on tax payments. So I just don't really, see how this proposal is going to help anybody. But what they may do is they may slow down the issuance of the work permits, and it's very easy to do. Look what they've done with green cards for asylees. They just announced that they will be pausing the processing, and that's that. Same thing they can do with work permits. they will say we need extra vetting, and that's going to be that. So they may do it like that, but I hope that they will not stop completely the issuance of the work permits for asylum seekers, because honestly, it just doesn't make any sense. HILE BI-360 approved, immigration court is cancelled. How long for a green card? Well, did you file for the green card with USCIS? Thank you very much for the roses. That's the gifts. Amira, thank you. So usually adjustment of status application, if your priority date is current, will take about a year and a half. Okay. Hi, Villa. How long will it take a family member to get N400 interview if biometrics is waived? It depends on the jurisdiction where you guys file for citizenship. My recent cases in New York, it took us about 6 months. All right, 6 months. Right. Let's see. My wife and I, right. I answered that. Thank you very much, Alexandra, for your roses. Thank you guys for the gifts. It's really sweet. Let's see what questions you have. My wife coming in my case when we're allowed to apply for a green card for her. All right. Why don't you give me a little bit more details here? What case you guys had? I mean, listen, if you would like to ask me this question live, I can invite you. Let's see if it's going to work. All right. Let's see. Let me see. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I hear you.
All right. Very good. So I ask your question.
Sure. I was just asking my wife. She was coming like 7 months ago. And here I was asylum, and then I was received my approval in asylum, and then now I have a green card, and I was applied for her under my case, like what they calling, I forgot the form name, but
I-730?
yeah, I-730 or something like that. And then after I was received her asylum approval for her, and then she was go to another country, and then she come to here. Now the question here, like how long I wanna wait and then apply for her for green card? That's the question I was having.
Got it. Okay. So she's a derivative asylee. She came to the United States based on I-730 that you filed. Well, she can pre-file her green card prior to accumulating 1 year of physical presence in the United States. She can file a little bit earlier. I would suggest that she waits for about 6 months after she arrived, and then she files for the green card. Okay?
Okay. So now she's almost 16 in here. Is that okay? We wanna apply for her?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you can pre-file. It takes longer than 6 months to for that application to be considered. So by the time they get to it, she will accumulate that 12 months or a year of physical presence in the United States.
Gotcha. And also, I have another question, ma'am. After she arrived in here, she was coming on airport, and then they was applied for her for work authorization card and then for social security. And then after 4 months, she was received the work authorization and then social security. And then I was applied by myself, like it was like after 2 weeks ago she was arrived, and then I was go to social security office, and then I was applied for her for social, and then I was received another social. Now she was have a two social security with two different numbers.
No. All right, so you guys will have to go back to Social Security office to explain what happened, and they will cancel one of the numbers. So conductors will straighten out. Okay, it's very important to do so. I just spoke about this today. Okay, very important to do so, because what happens down the road when you file for various immigration benefits like green card or citizenship, what happens is that the government is going to run background checks, and if they see that you have two social security numbers, they will think you committed some sort of fraud, and they're going to give you hard time. So fix it now, okay? You're just going to go to Social Security office, explain what happened, that there was a confusion, so they can cancel one of those numbers, all right?
Okay, but the good thing, like the new social security, if she was received, we was never used that one. I was just using
I
the
understand.
one social
So
security.
you're going to tell them that make sure that they're going to take it off our record, all right?
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that for all your work. Yeah, have a good one. Bye.
So TikTok is really cool, guys, because you can speak to me actually, and this platform, YouTube or Facebook, they don't allow that. So if you would like to talk to me live, you need to connect on TikTok. All right. Hi, Abdul Basiru. What is going to happen to me at my routine check-in at ICE office? I'm here for less than 2 years without criminal record, came through the southern border and have a pending asylum. Unfortunately, I really cannot tell you what's going to happen. The problem is this: currently, people who came on the parole, right, or crossed the border, um, and if you were for less than 2 years in the United States, the government is really trying to place you guys in expedited removal proceedings. All right, so you have to be aware of that. Will it happen to every single person? No, they just don't have the manpower to do that to every single person. But it may happen depending on the jurisdiction and depending on how they feel that day, I guess. So take a lawyer with you to that appointment, all right? Take an attorney with you. If your proceedings under INA 240, if your proceedings are still pending, they shouldn't be placing you in expedited removal proceedings and shouldn't be detaining you. But I cannot really predict, unfortunately, as to what may happen, right? All right, let's see if somebody else would like to join on TikTok. Let's see. Let me guys know if you would like to ask a question. Hi, Alexandra. Absolutely. Yeah.
I just recently started working for the school district, and I know my husband is coming up with court dates, which I am to be present, of course, because I'm the person that is requesting for his residency.
Right.
And my employer has denied me for the 2 days because they're requesting proof of his court date. Are they allowed to request that kind of information due that even though my name is on the document, but it has also my husband's personal information, which that is confidential?
Right, Alexandra, I think they can. So the thing is this: I would suggest that you guys redact the document. What you're going to do is that his name is I wouldn't say that his name is confidential, just because you probably, for tax purposes, you shared with HR the documents for taxation purposes, right? And things like that. But his A number, you should mark out, like, just cover it with the Sharpie, okay? Right. So do it like that, and just speak with HR. How is it done? Like, are you requesting personal days that you would like to be paid for, or what's going on?
So we do give seven. We do give seven personal necessity days. I'm only requesting which is due because it's the first week of school. And I told them that's fine. I'm willing to come in on the 12th, the 13th, and I only need the 14th and the 15th because the 14th is the court date, and then to travel back from the 15th to travel back, so like that I can rest and go back the next Monday.
Okay.
And which they are denying because they need proof.
All right. So I give them the redacted proof, right? Just be friendly. The thing is this: what state are you in?
In California.
California. All right. You can also consult quickly with a labor attorney in California. I'm in New York, right? So, and because it's like the labor laws are state laws, I unfortunately cannot tell you anything about California. But in New York, we have special protections sometimes, depending on the jurisdiction. They can be stronger. For example, the government cannot discriminate against you based on your status, immigration, family status, and things like that. So I'm sure California has similar things. But in terms of proof, I believe that they can request it. All right.
Okay.
Again, I would just redact the information that you do not want to share, right? Like his A number, for example, and would speak with HR what you may do if you can. Instead of giving them the document, you would just show it and take it back. All right, so it doesn't go to your file.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Right.
Because I
Right. Right. So right. So that's what I would do, and also speak to a labor lawyer in California because you guys have very good protections as well. You know, I just cannot consult you legally on those because I'm in New York. Okay.
Okay. Well, I appreciate
No problem. No problem.
you.
Nice talking to you. Mhm. All right. So let's see if you guys have more questions here. How long to wait? If you applied earlier than 1 year after grant. Okay. How long to wait for asylum? Thank you guys very much for the gifts. To wait for asylum-based green card if you applied earlier than 1 year after grant asylum, but I lived in the United States many years. All right, so usually it takes about a year for the green card to be granted. But right now we are in a very special situation. Why it is special? Because the government said that they paused consideration of green cards by those who want asylum. So technically, I wouldn't even be able to tell you how long it's going to take. I just hope that the pause is going to be lifted sooner than later. And then, of course, they will start issuing the green cards again. Okay. Hi, Benjamin from the Philippines. Thank you for joining. All right. Okay. Hi, Ahmed. Is there any way to check on your VAWA case? Yes, I answered that question earlier. So you can play back this recording on YouTube and Facebook. Now, guys, I'm going to disconnect from YouTube and Facebook. Thank you very much for watching. And I'm going to continue with TikTok people. So if you would like to, find me on TikTok. Real Immigration Lawyer NY is my nickname. Immigration Lawyer Alina is the name. And I hope to see you guys soon. Don't forget to like and share. And of course,